trim, swanky, high tech.
That's awesome.
Okay, it's going live, right? No.
Okay, I'm going to call our May 10th June meeting to order. Can we stand for the pledge?
Yep.
I pledge
I
allegiance
pledge allegiance
to
to
the
the
flag
flag of the
of the
United
United States of America
America
and to the
and to
republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
liberty and
justice
justice for all.
for all. Okay. Okay, welcome everyone. We're ready for our superintendent comments and summary. Take it away, Jason.
Thank you, Dr. Towers. Good evening, everyone. Sorry we're a tad late. We've had some great conversation already this evening in our closed session, so we're glad you're joining us via YouTube tonight. And here's a couple of comments for you, some highlights of the district. So we're in our last month of school. Yes, can you believe it? The last day is Friday, May 28th. Both graduations are on June 5th. It's amazing to look back at all the challenges the pandemic has brought us and to see that our staff and our students have prevailed through it all. We have provided in-person and virtual learning the entire year, and I am so proud of our staff.
Proud of our district.
It is unbelievable. Yes, you can clap for that, Donna. We are busy celebrating our students this month. We've had the Success Campus Celebration Night, the Night of Excellence at St. Charles West, and then the Evening with the Stars at St. Charles High is coming up on May 20th. It's great to be back celebrating our students' achievements in person as we finished out the school year. Also, we had at Jefferson, we had their annual Love Awards. It was outside of the St. Charles West football field, which is always a wonderful, unique way to celebrate students being kind, serving others, and showing love towards others. And the Love Awards is unlike no other, and it's just an awesome time. How about spring sports? Not sports, but sports. They're going strong. St. Charles West is your GAC North champs in baseball, but I will tell you, High was right there. They had to go through High for the championship. It was awesome to see our kids compete. And then also St. Charles West are GAC North champs in golf. Both schools have had strong spring sports and outstanding spring plays and musicals. Our tennis teams, I've had a chance to see them perform. I think we have a mom of one of our awesome tennis players on this call tonight.
You might have a mom on here.
And they've done very well. Pirates and the Warriors, and track, soccer, you name it. We've done. It's just been a great spring sports season. It's been awesome to see our kids compete. And then congratulations to our two scholar athletes, Trey Ward at St. Charles High School and Sam Pippin at St. Charles West. Congratulations to both of them. Both high schools had successful proms as well a week ago. Thank you to the sponsor, staff, and administrative teams that made both proms a huge success and a fun, safe night for our students. We are proud that we could have prom this year for both schools. We've also had a St. Charles West student in the news recently for starting his own scholarship program for other students. His name is Josh Nelson, and he will be attending SEMO in the fall on a full ride presidential scholarship. We are so proud of Josh. He is leading the way and giving back to others. And a side note on that, Josh started a scholarship at St. Charles West. He put $1,000 of his own money in to give back to other kids. And that now has just gone, you've seen the CNN report and all kinds, it's been everywhere. And now that donation or that sponsorship is up to $10,000. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? It's awesome.
That's great.
Hey, look out for the last podcast. It's coming soon. We're going to highlight some of these students we just mentioned. So be on the lookout for that. We are continuing with our diversity, equity, and inclusion work in the SCSD. We call it the DEI. So the DEI leadership group is getting ready to share with the larger team, DEI team, the plan moving forward that includes a video sharing the mission of the work, a staff survey to gauge where our staff is with DEI, and then some training and PD that is being set up for our administrative staff and our DEI team this summer. There will also be opportunities for training and PD for our entire staff as things progress. Our DEI work is focused on making sure all of our students are and truly feel connected in our district. We want to make sure that all of our systems in place are truly equitable for all students And then we also have obviously an emphasis on our students of color and making sure that they feel connected as well. And we are SCSD United. A special thank you to Miss Ellen Zier, our board member. She has been part of our leading the way of this important work. So Ellen, thank you for your help and your leadership as we move forward with our plans. Standardized testing has been taking place. All students in the designated grade classes are taking the test in person. Kudos to our staff for preparing our students and setting up all the logistics to make this happen. We mentioned this last time, and we still really not necessarily feel like in-person mandated standardized testing is necessary to conduct this time. However, we are going to use this information as a baseline to know where our students' needs are and where are we going in moving forward to meet their needs. Highlight and note, Governor Parson is coming to our Lewis and Clark Center on our Career Center on May 17th. We look forward to showing off not only Lewis and Clark, but parts of CAPS and our awesome programs that we provide St. Charles County. Unfortunately, we aren't having our Journey of Excellence banquet this year, but we're celebrating our award winners and honoring our retirees later this month. Be on the lookout for a special video. We so appreciate our outstanding staff and our retirees. With that said, we celebrate our entire staff on May 5th with an ice cream day, thanks to Chartwell's. That was a fun day to celebrate our staff. We try to celebrate and honor our staff every day, especially this year with the pandemic. Our staff has just done a fantastic job. Continuing to knock on wood, I'll do it right now. COVID numbers continue to be low. Another day today, I don't know if I've sent it out yet today to our email, but no COVID positive tests today, which is awesome. We are in a prime position to finish the school year strong. We will stay masked up and socially distance as much as possible the rest of the school year. We will also be wearing masks this summer at summer school and at camps at their appropriate times. Health and safety protocols such as temperature checks for our early childhood athletics and camps, our self-check assessments, social distancing and hand hygiene, and then also our quarantining protocols are also all still in place and will remain in place over the summer. As the summer progresses, we will reevaluate the pandemic situation, consult with the health department, and make the most appropriate decisions regarding protocol plans for next school year. Student and staff safety will remain our top priority. And as always, I want to continue to encourage and thank the Board of Education, staff, students, parents, and community members for all their continued work, support, and dedication. We are all essential and we are doing the work. And I just want to tell everybody, let's finish strong. Thanks, Dr. Towers.
Okay, thank you. Okay, are there any, item 3.04, Ellen, do we have any board communications?
I would like to take this time to give a report briefly from the MSBA. HB 349 has passed the Senate and is landed on the governor's desk. So all we can do is contact the governor to ask him not to sign HB 349, which is about vouchers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ellen. 3.05, board recognition. As many of you know, the open session of our board meeting is televised. The next portion of our open meeting will consist of public recognition. Through participation in the public recognition portion of our meeting, all parties are give consent to a televised broadcast of information and images, as well as other district-related media. If you prefer not to participate, you have that option. Tonight we're recognizing technology leadership. Jason, you have that?
Yes,
Oh, no.
I named, and Dr. Tormland might want to add something to this awesome group, but with tonight being a Zoom call, we weren't able to bring these people in person in front of you, but we just want to say congratulations. First of all, Christina Lauer does a fantastic job in this program, but we have Level 4 Technology Leadership Academy participants and staff who have passed, and there are now Level 4 members. And so we have Patrick Gephardt, Sean Hardy, Edie Hollander, Stephanie Lake, Alex Messina, Brianna Norline, Grace Perkinson, Erica Seiler, Jackie Souders, and Delilah Vandergeest. And congratulations to all of them. Dr. Torma, do you want to add anything to that?
No, except it's a really great accomplishment that they've achieved. They've gone through multiple hours of training and testing and implementation within their own classrooms. So these are definitely technology leaders who are taking the best the technology has to offer and are embedding it into their coursework with their students. So congratulations to them.
Thank you, Dr. Torma. And I'd like to add, that is a fantastic list, and I certainly don't want to point out anybody over somebody else, but there's at least one retiree on this list. And so it certainly tells you our staff doesn't stop until to the very end. And that is impressive because that's a lot of work. So kudos to that individual. You know who you are. And kudos, just again, celebrate these level 4 members. Great job on the technology end. So thank you.
A round of applause for our come on, there you go. Thank you. Item 3.06 is for audience comments, and Kelly said we don't have any audience comments for this evening. So item 3.07, do I have a motion to amend or adopt the agenda?
I move we adopt the agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
Oh, Heidi's got the second.
Marita?
What?
I didn't, did you? I didn't hear what you said. Were you making a
No,
second?
Heidi got the second on that.
Oh, okay. So we have a second. All those in favor
Aye.
and those opposed? Okay, so we have an adopted agenda. The consent agenda, I have to open that up. For efficiency, the school board utilizes a consent agenda. Items placed on the consent agenda are routine in nature or are among the many decisions that our board has already determined are in the domain of the administration. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented. Malone?
I second. Zaire?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So that motion passes. So we're at item 6.01. We're going to find out about beginning our bond issue projects. Charles.
So in 6.01, you have a list of projects. I do have the supporting documentation in that file for you, but I'm happy to answer any questions about them. But they are the projects that I presented to you last month as kind of our quick start summer 2021 projects that are coming off our bond issue list. So there's a roof work at operations. There is some dehumidification work at Blackhurst, Jefferson, and Hardin. Interior and exterior LED lighting at Null, Hardin, Harris, St. Charles High, and Benton. There is HVAC replacement at Harris. The playground relocation at Lincoln, and a little bit of roof work as well as full tuck pointing at St. Charles West. And then we have the two stadium projects, stadium turf and lighting for both St. Charles High and St. Charles West. And then the one addition that was not on our list last month is you probably noticed St. Charles High School. We have a bid for main gymnasium bleacher replacement. That was on our list as a bond issue project. We just did not anticipate bringing you a bid this month for that project. But in talking with Carroll Seating, they actually gave us a discount of $22,000 if we would commit to the project now, but then not have it installed until after April of 2022, which actually fits our time frame just fine. We would prefer to wait until after graduation next spring to do that project anyway. So grand total on all those projects is just a hair under $7 million of the $50 million project list. We did have a couple of projects come in slightly higher than expected and several that were lower. And so overall, we're still ahead of the game by about $200,000 on this list of projects versus what we anticipated budget-wise.
Charles?
Yes,
what-
ma'am.
Are we still trying to focus on using local businesses and contractors?
Well, so within our own policy, Marita, we do have preferences that are in state law for Missouri contractors whenever possible. When we look at projects that come in, they're almost always from people across the St. Louis region. But I'll tell you, like, for instance, in the LED lighting bid, we did have an out-of-region contractor. They were not anywhere close to the best bidder, but had they been the lowest bidder, then we would have gone to that quality criteria and said, are they within 5% of our Missouri contractors? And that could cause us to shift to a non-low bid. But the time we do certainly get interest from across our region. Now, we don't specifically have a preference, say, for someone that's in the school district versus outside, but we always do look for quality contractors with that low price. So state law says, particularly with construction, we have to take the lowest qualified bid, and qualified does have some definition to it, but we can, for instance, we can disqualify someone who has any kind of negative interaction with the federal government and is disbarred from working with the federal government, someone we've had a bad experience with, or someone that has poor references. And so we always look at those items as we assess these bids for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Do I have a motion to approve these projects as presented?
I move to accept all contracts as presented. Malone?
I
I
second.
second.
Oh.
Lori.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed? All right,
Thank you.
so now you're off and running.
Yeah, next, buses.
Next,
So,
buses.
So most of you have, with I think the exception of Ellen and Heidi, have been on the board long enough that you would remember that 4 years ago, well, going on 5 years ago now, we purchased 40 buses. And then the year after that, we purchased an additional 10. And we have not, in that intervening time, traded in any buses. But as we get to kind of that mid-year point, or mid-life cycle point of 5 years on the buses, we have begun seeking bids to replace part of the fleet. And so the transaction that you have in front of you is a proposal from Central States where we would purchase 10 buses from them, 8 Type C buses, which are the large buses, and then 2 Type A's, which are their smaller buses that we run primarily on early childhood or special education routes, and then trade in 10 of our current fleet. And so we would be trading in the 10 buses that have the highest amount of miles, with one exception, and that's a bus that had been in an accident. It's still running and actually has a few less miles, but given the extensive repair work that we know that was done to that bus, we felt like it was a good one to lump in this first group out. And so kind of combined with this is you'll also see the letter of commitment from First State Bank to finance the buses. So the previous transactions, 5 years ago, we bought 40 buses and financed 20 with First State Bank and 20 with New Frontier Bank, the same terms at each bank, but we financed as a split transaction. And then the next transaction was for 10 Type A buses, was all at First State Bank. So we had 3 outstanding loans. This transaction would roll that all into a single outstanding loan, holding holding the collateral of our entire fleet, just with the First State Bank loan. This is actually at 2.25%, is a 0.5% less than the last time we bought buses. I mean, the first time, and it's actually a full percent less than the second transaction. So it overall is a really good deal for us to roll it all into a single transaction. They also will work with us to be able to roll out another 10 buses next year in a trade, and then bring 10 more new ones in if we choose to do that. That's a year-by-year decision on our part. So if you approve this transaction, we will do this trade-in and purchase from Central States, and then also pursue the financing agreement with First State Bank, which would require that we get one more resolution from you passed at the June meeting from our bond counsel, Gilmore Bell.
Okay.
I'll
Is there a
make-
motion? Do we have a discussion? You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the bus lease purchase and financing transactions as presented.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second. Leslie?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we have passed our next step with our buses. We are finally ready for item 7.01, our district financial report.
Yeah, so I apologize that we don't have this up on the screen for you. Chris, are you where you could pull up my report that I usually show him? He may have wandered off to get supper or something. Here we go. Thank you. Okay, so on your screen right now, you see the St. Charles budget projections over a 5-year period. And you'll see in the kind of light gray, the preceding actual years. 2019-20 is also an actual year as amended. And then the current year, 2021, you see what you've approved originally and then what was amended throughout the year. And so then in the green on the right-hand side, you see the projected budgets. The further out they go, the less I believe them. And so that would be my recommendation to you. They're really projections. And so what I wanted to show you this report for, particularly tonight, is the 2021-22 budget is projected with revenues of $143,429,000 and change. 50 million of that is, of course, our bond issue transaction. So that's a one-time transaction that we would not normally have on our books. Expenditures, you see, are at almost $108 million. And that includes my estimate of about $16 million of work during the coming fiscal year out of the bond issue. So you just approved tonight almost $7 million in bond issue projects. What I'm anticipating is throughout the year, we might just a little bit more than double that figure as we move forward. But of course, those aren't authorized transactions on our part from the board level. It's just my projection in the budget. And then you see that gives us a excess budget of somewhere about $37 or $38 million for the year. So if you take the bond issue completely out of the budget for next year, that gives you a better picture of where we really are financially. And if you look at our operating budgets, what we right now have, and we'll refine it a little bit more before we ask for your approval, is about a $1.5 million deficit is projected, meaning that we have about $1.5 million more projected to be spent than is projected that we will gain in revenue. Revenue is a little bit more conservative, I would say, than what I think we're going to get. And our expenditures, we always try and be a little more liberal than what we think we're actually going to do. And so two things I would say about that. One, we'll tighten up those figures over the next month before we bring it back to you for a final approval. And then also, I want you to always kind of keep in the back of your mind that if we get to within about $700,000 of being even, we're probably there. $750,000 is 1% of our operating budget. And that's usually, we have about 1 to 1.5% that's left unspent in any given year. So if we get the expenditures within about $750,000 of revenue, we're probably close to a break-even budget. The other big factor that is not on this budget sheet and will not be in the final budget when you are asked to approve it is the amount of federal stimulus money that we'll be receiving. There's about $3 million that the state already holds, and we should be able to spend as early as July. And then there's about another $6.7 million that the federal government has approved, but the state doesn't have yet. And we probably won't be able to spend any of that until beginning in October. That money is really all going to be flow through money. So what we've chosen to do as far as building the budget is to put a zero on both sides of the ledger. And then as we approve projects that will go into those funds, you'll see those come in as budget amendments, amending the revenue to the amount of money that we think it will cost us, and the expenditure side reflecting what we've actually spent. But that $9.6 or $9.7 million total in federal money does not have to be spent all in this coming fiscal year. In fact, we would anticipate we probably will spend that over the next 3 fiscal years because one of the big priorities for spending that money is learning loss related to COVID. And so our biggest driver of that money is going to be summer school this year and for the succeeding 2 summers that will all be paid for out of federal dollars. And so as we develop a tighter budget around summer school, then we'll begin amending that 21-22 budget to reflect that additional federal spending. At this point, are any questions about kind of where we are headed budget-wise?
I have heard that some of the federal funds can be spent on HVAC. And I know, okay, and I know that HVAC is on the bond issue. Can some of those funds be used to like improve on the HVAC over and above what you have requested for the bond issue?
Sure. So that's a really good question, Ellen. So internally, the CO team has begun really talking about where we want to spend those. ESSER is the acronym ESSER dollars. ESSER 2 was the $3 million that's coming to us that was finally approved in the last days of the Trump administration. ESSER 3 is the portion that was passed early in the Biden administration. And so we've identified 3 areas. Learning loss is our first priority, air quality as another priority, and the third one would be technology. And so you'll see that we will probably transfer at least one of our HVAC projects that's on the bond issue list to federal funding. But we also, to your point, we have a project that we'll probably bring to you in June, it might be July yet, called needlepoint bipolar ionization, which is a method of, in layman's terms, scrubbing the air in interior spaces. And that's a project we can do for about $600,000 and have that applied to all of our buildings across the district. And that was not something that was part of the bond issue, but that we have seen multiple school districts across the region implement as just another way of trying to make sure that during the pandemic, but also going forward, we do our very best to make sure that the air we're breathing in our inside spaces is as high quality as possible. So I think you will see that, Ellen, as well as in things like teacher laptops, student Chromebook replacements. Those types of things will be where we'll see things outside of true loss initiatives within that ESSER money.
Okay, thanks.
So Charles, are you
Yes,
saying, when you said you divided it, the goal of this new money is learning loss air quality technology. Is that for the $3 million or is that for the 9.7 million?
That's for the whole, for both, they're two separate sets of money, but with similar purposes. And so, yes, we would apply those three goals to that entire amount of money that we have over the next 3 years, give or take.
And of that 9.7, 600,000 is going to air quality, right?
Well, that's what's earmarked right now for additional, but as I said, we may also pick another project that's on the bond issue list and put it over into that area. And then summer school and other opportunities to, fix that gap and make it smaller between where students are and where we'd like them to be, all fit into that goal as well. We would anticipate that that will become the largest area of spending out of those federal funds will be learning loss mitigation.
Okay.
Charles, to that point, are we looking at least 2 years with that? Hopefully with.
Yeah, I think we'll run summer school out of that money for 3 years.
Or at least 3, yeah. Sorry, Marita, go ahead.
That's all right. So does that mean we're going to have summer school for 3 years?
I think given the federal funding, we can bank on it for that long, yes. And with it targeted specifically to students who are behind. And so as we get further and further from the pandemic, we got the money because of the pandemic, obviously. But as we get further away from it, the tie back to it may be, harder to actually show. But we can continue to address learning loss of all kinds. So any student who's behind, whether they're an English language learner or they're behind because they're just behind in reading or math, we'll be able to have the opportunity to try and help them in a variety of ways. And I know Danielle has been really leading the efforts to kind of get that list of opportunities for ways that we can stem learning loss, to kind of get us some round numbers on that. But again, we're kind of holding off on putting a lot of projects into air quality and technology until we really know what we need to spend on learning loss first.
And I think a fair estimate of what we're kind of looking at per summer right now, we're anticipating close to $200,000 to $250,000 for this summer. So span that out over the next 3 years, and so we could easily get up to $750,000.
That's a lot of money left over.
Yes, and so we're also talking about other things that could be, and Marita, for instance, it could be, we decide right now we've got enough people behind me. We may need to recommend that we have some time-bound positions that are only a 1-year only position or a 2-year only position, only paid out of the federal dollars, but with the intent to give our students more support. And so again, that we don't have a good plan to present to you for those dollars yet. And so that's why I pointed out, we aren't going to try and budget it in the budget proactively. We'll add it in after we have a plan that we can present to you and kind of share where we think we're going to put these dollars to use.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the budget in general? We are going to wait. I'm going to actually be absent from the June board meeting, the June 10th meeting. And so we'll wait and have the final budget ready for your approval at the June 29th meeting. Go ahead, Chris, to the next slide. So here's the healthcare fund report. And if you scroll up just a little bit, Chris, for me. There we go. We're at 3.2 million in the fund. Nothing extraordinary. We continue to follow our same pattern as far as pharmaceuticals, and then medical payments dropped just a little bit this month. So the fund is in healthy shape. Go to the next one for me, Chris, please. This is month end for April. Beginning fund balance at the beginning of the month, 49.8 million. We still see local revenues coming in. Most of that sales tax, almost no local taxes coming in at this point. You just see we did get a good amount of state revenue that reflects more than normal because if you recall, the governor released the funds that he withheld at the beginning of the school year. And so we're getting a little bit more per month in state funds for the remainder of the fiscal year. But overall, everything else is pretty much as you would suspect and expected to be this time of year. We ended the month with 46.5. And again, that next month, you'll see a big chunk being paid out. And again, in June, as we pay out our 10-month employees for the final part of their fiscal year contract. On an annual basis, we're really about where we expected to be on local and state revenues. County revenues are a little below my projection, but again, that's where we've seen a huge drop off in fines and forfeitures at the county level from where we used to be. But overall, total revenues are looking pretty good. Total expenditures, you can see, are lagging for where we should be on an annual basis. But again, that's because we have big payments coming in June to the 10-month staff. And then finally, on the last page is the budget adjustment report. See, we're still hanging in there about 22.6% as a projected fund balance as of the end of April. Questions on any of the financial report?
Okay. Thanks, Charles. Are there any comments or questions about the financial report? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the financial report as presented?
I move to approve the financial report as presented.
Second, Knight.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We've finalized all of those items, so we're ready for adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, thank you all. We are adjourned.
Great.
Wow.
Wow.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.